Hey everybody, welcome back to Challenge the Call podcast. I'm your host Max.
And I am Avery. How are you guys?
Alright, so this is our official, unofficial Christmas episode as we are recording bright and early Saturday morning. Avery, how are you doing on this fine morning?
I'm sick. Merry Christmas. That's all. But humble.
I like the Christmas sweater. Really
Thanks,
showing
man.
off the spirit there.
Yeah, you mentioned something. Oh, it's Christmas episode. I went straight to the bedroom and I'm like, I got the perfect thing.
I was looking around so hard for something green because green is just not really in my color palette. I don't own any Christmas sweaters or anything like that. I need to get one though. But as I was rummaging around my closet, I was like, oh, I got one green shirt. Good old Iowa strength and conditioning, baby. Making an appearance on the pod. So threw on my Central hat, my red flannel, and my green Iowa shirt. So I'm ready to rock and roll.
You look like a lumberjack.
You know, I've gotten that before, but I love this flannel too because the back of it actually.
Like nice!
The whole Marvel thing. So my mom got it for me somewhere down in Florida. So I love this flannel.
Nice. If I sound funny today, I'm just gunked up. Just to let you know.
Well, you always sound a little funny, but it's not always your voice. Avery's waiting on some coffee right now, so he's working on waking up a little bit. I myself actually own a coffee maker, so I have it right in front of me. This baby's also got a scoop of collagen and 2 pumps of peppermint syrup in it, so I'm all decked out for the holidays.
Nice. Did you put a little vodka in there? Do you got to work today? A little Irish coffee.
I actually love. I've only ever done this once because there's never a good opportunity, but I've always wanted the whole coffee and Bailey's.
Oh, yeah.
Just, Bailey's Irish cream and stuff. And I wanted to do that for so long, but the opportunity just never really arises to drink coffee that late or drink alcohol that early. So I've never really gotten around to it except for one time. I was with Mallory getting brunch somewhere in Greeley, and I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. Give me coffee and Bailey's.
Nice. Yeah, no.
This is a non-alcoholic right now, unfortunately.
I mean, it would be kind of weird if it's 6:45 in the morning. No, I mean, I've had it. I love Irish coffee, dude. Like that's one of the best things. I usually get it. Like I'm okay with having coffee like halfway through the day. Like so, if I'm going to a restaurant and they have it like 2, 3, I'm cool with that. But yeah, 6:45 is a little early.
Probably not a time to be doing any alcoholic beverages, but. That's just because we need to be clear and focused for the awesome pod that we have for you guys here today. So we will go ahead and get started with that. First thing we have for you guys today, we're going to talk some basketball. I officially did a little bit of basketball watching over the week. I watched Iowa, the men's team, play UMBC. Iowa won it 103-81. That was a solid win for us. The only thing I would say is you can definitely tell that they don't look as strong as they used to. Like they didn't look bad, but also you have to remember they were playing UMBC, not a very good team. So,
right, yeah, no, I told you that like a while back that Iowa just isn't the greatest this year, and it sucks. Like I don't even know if we're March Madness material, to be honest, this year.
I'm not sure. And They're floating just above 500 right now. They're like 6-5 or 7-5 now with this win.
Yeah.
What was I just thinking on that though? Oh yeah, when I first turned this game on, actually, because I only watched about half of this game, they were actually down when I first turned this game on, and yeah, I was about to completely I was like, what? We're down to UMBC? What?
Yeah, no, it's been a rough go at it this year, man, and hopefully we can figure something out. But
I hope so. I will say two bright spots from what I saw. Tony Perkins obviously looks good. He was all over the floor. He's kind of like our main senior kind of guy right now. I know we have Patrick McCaffrey in there too, but just from the half I saw, I thought Perkins had a hell of a game. And then another bright spot as far as upcoming years would go is number 2, Harding. He's a freshman. He actually looked really solid. He was kind of like Perkins. He was all over the place a little bit. I didn't see him as so much of a shooter as he was more of just like he had a lot of assists. He made a lot of good shots. Like he took good shots. He wasn't like a stand outside the three and go. But I thought he looked like a solid player that could bring some good things to Iowa in the next few years.
For sure. Yeah, Brock Harding. That's his name. 6 foot. He's only 6 foot tall. That's crazy. To be honest, man, I haven't watched much college basketball at all. If I've watched any basketball this year, it's been the NBA. But other than that, college basketball, ever since like Iowa lost to Creighton and I watched that game and I was like, yeah, college basketball isn't for me this year. Maybe it's just because of the NFL, but yeah, it's been a rough go at it.
I'm sure I'll pick it up more again when the NFL is over. I did watch an NBA game now too, though, because I watched some of the Kings game against the Celtics. So that was rough. But while watching, I did learn a fun fact. Actually, I think I learned this during the Iowa game, not the Kings game. But fun fact, Keegan Murray in the Kings game against the Jazz, former Iowa great, he actually set a franchise record making 12 3-pointers in that game. That's crazy. Like Steph Curry was coming out and saying that's impressive. Like that's good. Steph Curry's record is 13. So all-time NBA Keegan Murray actually ties for 5th behind Curry and a few other guys.
That's awesome. Like Keegan Murray's doing big things in the NFL. Do you know how
NBA.
his brothers are NBA? Do you know how his other brother is doing this year?
I don't. He's with the Portland Trailblazers, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they're not doing too hot, I believe,
No.
as a team. So they're 14th in the West right now, out of 15.
I wonder how he's doing, like points per game. I mean, look.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't followed Chris as much as I have Keegan. But speaking of the standings, in the West, since we're talking about the Kings and the Murray brothers, and they're both in the West here, the West, the Kings are currently standing at number 4. The Nuggets are currently standing at number 3, just one spot above them. Dude, the top 3 positions are from the Northwest Division.
Which is
Timberwolves,
wild.
the Thunder, and the Nuggets. Like, that is the same exact 3 in order of the Northwest Division. And they're the 3 leading in the conference right now, too.
That's wild. That's the team to be in the NBA right now. Chris Murray has 2.7 points per game, 1.8 rebounds, and a half of an assist.
How many minutes? Does it get a lot of play time? Does that show that stat? Because that's what I'd be curious to see. Like, it doesn't sound like...
Last 10, 18.7 minutes. All year,
okay.
11.1. Not much.
So, not a ton of time, but some, he's playing a quarter.
Yeah, and he's a rookie. Like that, at the end of the day, that's what it is. He's a rookie because we saw Keegan Murray in the beginning of his career, like last year. He didn't do much until the playoffs? Close to the playoffs where he started to come on fire.
Even then, I feel like there were back and forth games for him. Like there were games where he seemed like he was super productive and like contributing a ton, and then there were games where he seemed like he was just kind of on the floor.
For sure. But yeah, and then Chris also got stuck on a really shitty team, Portland Trailblazers. They're rough. But
that's the hard part.
Yeah. Speaking of Portland Trailblazers and a former player for the Portland Trailblazers that's now on the Milwaukee Bucks, Damian Lillard, the Bucks are killing it right now, man. They're 21-7. We're leading first in the Central.
No, you're not. Or in the Central, okay.
In the Central.
I thought you were going to say East. I was like, nope, Celtics, buddy. Celtics. But
we're first in the Central. Giannis is having one of his years. Dame has brought in so much to Milwaukee this year. So, I think it's championship or bust. Like, you talk about these teams that have, the window open. Is the window open or the window closed? I think Milwaukee, this is windows wide open. If you don't win this, you're looking at maybe Giannis leaves in a year or two. Like this is a big time. You got to go out and win now.
Definitely, they are sitting at number 2 in the East, so they're in obviously right now. I won't go through all the other teams because I don't really care. Celtics 1, Bucks 2 in the East. So yeah, I like where things are standing right now. When the NBA gets rolling, once the NFL is over, I'm sure I'll pay a little more attention. I'll try to watch some more games and stuff. It's just, I can only spend so much time on sports, and right now NFL is kind of that time consumer. So
Imagine Bucks Kings NBA championship.
I'm
Come
waiting
down
for it.
to game 7. Oh, that
I'm
would be
waiting for it. I called it last year, but the Kings lost interest after the Bucks lost right away. So that
look, that was a freak. That was a freak situation. Who we lost to what, the 76ers in the first round or
I
something?
don't even remember.
It was
But yeah,
bad.
it
Yeah,
was bad.
it was bad.
Oh, but we'll move away from basketball a little bit. I just thought I would throw some of that out, get you guys a little basketball info there. But we'll move on into some sports news. Only one thing in the sports news today, though I feel like it's probably going to take us a hot minute, is Florida is actually suing, or Florida State, pardon me, is actually suing the ACC. They're trying to get out of their media rights contract. So they're trying to leave the conference, but they are contracted in because of this media rights thing until 2036.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That is over 10 years away. Um, and so basically, their options are wait out their contract or pay $500 million. That's billion with a B. $500 million to leave the conference right now. So they're currently in a lawsuit trying to get out of the conference without having to pay all of that money. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? I know you were reading up on it a little bit.
Yeah, so one, Florida State, I understand where they are pissed off and they're trying to get out of the media rights. Media rights fucks up everything in college football. I hate to say that because that's why the Pac-12 folded, right? Like
Yeah.
because of media rights. Um,
It's also
and
why the Big Ten is the largest geographical conference like in college football right now.
right, yeah, and it doesn't make sense. And same with the SEC. That's why the Big Ten and the SEC are in a collision course of 16 teams or 32 teams in each conference at this point because they have the most money, and that's what happens. Your games are going to get televised more. It's ridiculous where college football is kind of going. But the media rights with Florida State, dude, I just think at the end of the day, like, it's not fair. Like, and I don't think like Florida State should have to pay, to be honest, because they did get robbed. And 6 of those voting members, 6 out of the 12 were from the ACC. Tell me that, dude. 6. You should have been a shoo-in with your own conference. 6 out of the 12 voters for the college football playoffs were ACC members. You should have been a shoo-in in the playoffs. They didn't even support your own conference. That's fucked.
Yeah,
They were all
that
about the money.
that is rough. And so the argument that Florida State is making as far as trying to get out of this media rights contract is that the conference it's relatively based off of that the conference is just like not seen as a strong conference and stuff like that. And their main thing they're pointing to is the addition of Cal and Stanford and SMU being brought in to the ACC. That's one of the things they're highlighting in that argument of like, you're deteriorating the conference, you're bringing in more teams, which is going to spread out the pay that you're getting. Because right now, the Big Ten and the SEC, they get almost, I think it was like 10 million more from the conference per the media rights than the
Right.
ACC schools do. And so that's the biggest thing they're pushing to is they're like, hey, Big Ten and SEC are getting 10 million more than us. You're bringing in 3 more, obviously not as talented teams. And that's just going to spread out like the money that we're supposed to be entitled. Like we want out of this shit.
For sure. Well, and you were telling me about that. They even use like Oregon State as an example. You
For
want to
sure.
elaborate on that?
Yeah, because the counter argument to that was that the Pac-12 collapsed, right? Like Cal and Stanford have to go somewhere. The Pac-12 just absolutely imploded on itself. And then they were like, okay, yeah, they needed a home. You know who else needs a home? Number 22 ranked Oregon State. Why don't you make the conference stronger with Oregon State, not weaker with Stanford and Cal, who were both at the very bottom of the Pac-12 this year? So fair argument. Like I get why they're upset. And they're bringing in SMU too, who's not even a Power 5 like school. So I don't know. I'm kind of with Florida State on this. I think the ACC is kind of fucked. in just the regard. I think the whole system is fucked. Like it's all just we truly do have the Big Ten and the SEC, and that's the only thing that gets you anything by name. Like Clemson still sounds like a powerhouse school. Florida State is still a powerhouse school. And then you look at the rest of the ACC, and like I don't know, like there's some good teams, like
Duke, Syracuse.
yeah, Duke, Syracuse. I mean, North Carolina's not horrible,
Yeah.
but just I don't know, dude. The conference is not thought of in the same light as the other two, as we can obviously see, because even when you look at the college football playoffs, there's 4 conferences in it right now, but there's really 2, because Washington is about to be the Big Ten and Texas is about to be the SEC.
Right. And that's where, in all reality, that's where college football wants to go. Like, if you truly look at it, they want 2 to 3 conferences, and that's it. Let's talk about the landing spots. That's a possibility for Florida State. So, right now, if they do get successfully out of this media rights with the ACC, I know I saw one thing that Florida State's better rival, does not want them in the SEC.
No,
Which
and
is
the SEC more than likely, I would think, wouldn't accept them, because what do
right.
they gain out of that? They have Florida, they have the state of Florida. So the way the media rights work and stuff, the SEC broadcasts in Florida already. Bringing in Florida State doesn't necessarily bring anything in onto the table as far as revenue goes. Now, the one argument that was made in that regard is, okay, the Big Ten does not have a school in Florida. So if the Big Ten were to take them, then the Big Ten would have a school down in Florida that they would broadcast down there. They would get more revenue per media rights. But then the Big Ten would be in a really awkward situation with like 17 teams or something. Like they'd have just an insane amount of teams.
Yeah. And I don't want to see, like, to be honest, I really don't want to see Florida State in the Big Ten, because then we're just going to this powerhouse versus powerhouse. If anything, I think the most logical and ideal spot for them is the Big 12. Because hear me out, Big 12, like we saw, they got the acquisition of like what? Utah, Arizona State, and Colorado, right?
And Arizona.
And Arizona. And I would say Utah and Arizona are probably and maybe Colorado are the only 3 teams worth a grain of salt with getting those teams in the Big 12, and they're losing Texas and Oklahoma. You bring in Florida State, that solidifies you up with the big boys. Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, yeah, you're losing Texas and Oklahoma, but you just brought in Utah and Florida State. That's a good kind of like mixture there. Okay, yeah, I lost Texas, Oklahoma, but I got Florida State coming in. And
Definitely.
that's going to help out a lot. And if you want the even, like you mentioned on a prior podcast, you want just like even split through 3 to 4 conferences, this is the way to do it, with Florida State going to the Big 12. And it has to happen. Like,
sure. I'm 100% on board with that. We already saw the Pac-12 kind of merge with the Big 12 as like the unofficial merger between the two. Pac-12 lost a few other schools to a few other conferences, but ultimately I think the next step in that, when you're just looking at the sizes of all these conferences, is you need a low-key merge the ACC and the Big 12 as well. Give it a good solid Power 3, and then you're not sitting as horribly off as you would with this awkward Power 4.5 situation, like whatever the fuck it is. But also, the big thing that comes into this too is one of Florida State's biggest arguments right now is how they got gypped in the college football playoffs, all that, blah, 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 postseason revenue. But the college football playoffs are changing next year. They're going 12 teams. And so automatic bids are coming from all the conference champions. And so Florida State's trying to move into a more struggling conference, or a more strugglesome conference, where they would, in theory, have a lot harder time winning the conference compared to just staying in the ACC, automatically going to the playoffs because you're hoping to sweep the conference every year and all that sort of stuff. So do you think with the playoff changing, the way they do things in the playoff changing, do you think it makes less sense for them to leave the conference now?
I still think it makes sense. I feel like a lot of Florida State feels shifted, like they feel like they weren't respected. Like 6 voters is a lot. And so I think at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day that they're just bitter. and that's part of the reason why they are leaving the SEC, or I mean the ACC. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy.
You're good. No, yeah, definitely. I think there is a good chunk of this that is just pure like bitterness. Like, hey, fuck you. I don't care. I'm out of this. And I mean, potentially there's still going to be more money, and even if they do have a harder time getting into the college football playoffs, there's still more money in it, just per the media rights each season anyway. So yeah, this is just there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Florida State. Do here. Let me ask you this. I know what you said you think is kind of like right or not with them leave. What do you think is most realistic to happen though? Like, do you think that this lawsuit gets approved and they're allowed to leave, or do you think it's ultimately going to get shut down? Be like, you signed a contract, dude. Like, you can't get out of it.
I think they're gonna meet in the middle. Like I think they're still gonna probably have to pay like 250 million, but Florida State's this pissed off that they're gonna pay that to get out. It's not gonna be $500 million, but it's gonna be a chunk of chains, and I think they will end up leaving the ACC. And as soon as Florida State leaves the ACC, dude, you know that's gonna open the door. Like Miami's gonna leave, Clemson's gonna leave. These other teams, they're going like, and they won't be staying because like that's when it becomes like a dead team walking at that point.
Oh yeah.
Um, you mentioned automatic bids. Right now, the Pac-2 has an automatic bid for next year's playoff. Are we going to see Oregon State and Washington State in the playoffs automatically? How
No,
does that work?
they are assuming that the structure is going to be altered from 5 automatic bids to 4 automatic bids.
Okay, well, how cool would it be? Like 2-team playoff, like see Oregon State or Washington.
And here's the issue with that and the conference and whatnot too is like, yeah, we do have a Pac-2 conference at the moment, and they're obviously going to have to bring other schools in to fill those spots. You can't be Pac-2, or those schools are going to have to go somewhere else. Somewhere else being who knows where. Maybe a General 5 conference, maybe joining the Big 12 or the ACC or some shit like that. But the issue I have with this, which is just hard because I can't think of Power 5 schools just casually going to a General 5 conference, or like General 5 schools like SMU or something just casually joining a Power 5 conference and then being like, I'm a Power 5 school. Look at me. Like, obviously teams change in their skill levels. They move up and down, they get better and they get worse. But with that regard, these movements have nothing to do with that in my head, you know? So like I think I know we've talked a ton about this before. I think all of this might ultimately start leading to the promotion relegation system of like, hey, you're not doing well as a Power 5 school. Therefore, like, goodbye. You don't deserve to be Power 5 because you are in the SEC and get your shit kicked in every year, you know?
I don't know. I mean, in a weird way, I still think I agree. I would love a relegation system in college football, right? But at the same time, like I still think like conferences should carry some weight. Like even if like you said like Pac-2, if the Mountain West joins the Pac-2, then is that really a non-power 5? Like is it? But like there's a lot of great teams in the um Mountain West. Like you're looking at Boise State, perennial like non they should be a Power 5 school. You're looking at San Diego State, should be a Power 5 school. Hawaii has one of the best offenses in college football. You add those 3 teams, you get Stanford and Cal back, you're at 7 teams. It would only be diluting the conference by 3. And that's the way I look at it. And so
Sure. And with a promotion relegation system, guess what? A long time of a long time ago, those teams would have already been in the Power 5 because they would have
I
been
agree.
promoted, they would have been successfully there, and they would have earned what they deserve.
Right. But you can't say they didn't earn it already just
I'm
by the
sure
long
that's
tradition and
that's not the
history.
argument I'm making though.
Right. No, I'm just saying I'm just saying even if like relegation and something doesn't happen, I still don't think necessarily the pack because at what that point it would be the Pac-7. And if they somehow got Stanford and Cal back, there's Pac-9. Like that's not a bad system. That's not bad at all. I don't necessarily think so. I don't know. That's just kind of
It's
where I'm
see
at.
the thing that's diluting or whatever about that is you're not switching anything out. You're bringing more teams into the power conferences. So
Yeah.
like you're adding a bunch of good who arguably deserve to be there. There's also a lot of schools that are in Power 5 conferences right now that I would argue do not deserve to be there. And you know what like if they were promoted and relegated, there would be the number of teams that there would be. Like there would be your power schools, there would be your non-power schools. But if we can just pull teams in and out and change those numbers and whatnot, like what are we doing? Why are we not just having like this is college football compared to oh you're in a power conference oh but you're not but you should be they shouldn't be whatever blah 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 like can we really say that there exists these power conferences if they're just kind of like picked and chunked and moved around and whatnot that I want to see the best teams in the best conferences. And I think the only way to do that year in and year out over the decades is move them based on how they do, not just like, hey, we want to go over there. Should we let them in? Yeah, sure. Let's let them in. Like move
You,
them based on performance.
you know why it will never happen?
Why?
Because the media rights. The
Yeah.
media rights own college football. It all goes back to the media rights. People that support college football and that run college football, like college football commissioner, they're as corrupt as it comes. I hate to say it, but especially at the Division 1 level, they're as corrupt as they come. Because to be honest, why did it take so long for NIL to happen? Yeah, you could say NIL has kind of ruined college football in a way, but it's also paying players and they play. That's a full time job in college. Like for these college athletes, that's a full time job until 2021 for NIL to hit. Transfer portal, you have to sit out a full year. Now you can play right away. Like, I just think college football, the people that run college football are as corrupt as they come, and that's part of the reason. And that's why we'll never get a relegation, and that's also why the Big Ten and the SEC are going to be the only two conferences worth a grain of salt within the next 10 years.
The only way that there could foreseeably be the relegation promotion system, all this jazz, whatever, would be if it turned into more of the NFL structure, where the NFL actually owns all of the teams playing in the NFL compared to the NCAA as a governing body, but the schools are the schools. They are individual organizations. They're not a part of a larger NCAA organization. They're just governed by the NCAA. So the one way that we would get this system is if the NCAA and or just like some other body would technically own or whatever all of the college football teams under an overarching structure, and then that way the money that they bring in, it doesn't matter if it's Big Ten or SEC or ACC or any of that. The money they bring in is just the money that they bring in, and they pay out the teams to be in this structure.
I don't hate that, to be honest. Like, I think that could work. That really could work. And then,
It removes the media rights issue.
yeah, it removes the media rights issue. And in a way, like, they're not technically college athletes at that point, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
not sure how exactly they would have to be right because the school and this body couldn't like both
right.
have rights to these like yeah.
So I don't know if necessarily they're college athletes. I mean, we see it more in the NBA than college, like football or but there's a lot of athletes that don't go to college. Like a lot of athletes that don't have the grades to make it into these colleges. And if you remove like the whole school aspect from it and make it just like a governing like issue there, like I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I mean, it could be. There are bad stipulations with it, but at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think. I think you're on like a good track with it.
I don't necessarily want to remove the educational part of like this though,
Right.
because you don't want thousands of some college athletes now having to decide between well, do I get a degree or do I go try to make my shot on like the Iowa Hawkeyes team? You know, because how many guys graduate and don't go to the NFL? How many graduate and use their degrees that they've earned to go do something? So I think the way you would have to do it is maybe you don't have to make it mandatory to go to school or take classes and all that to be a part of these programs. But I think as far as if you're going to be a scholarship player in one of these programs, they still pay your tuition. They're still affiliated with a school. You still like go take classes. You're still a student athlete. It's just more of, it'd be almost more of doing like a club type thing on top of school as compared to like doing it through the true school itself.
Didn't you say that's kind of what they do over in Europe, anyways, with like college
Yeah,
sports?
in Europe they don't per se have like college sports. It's like you're in a club, but the club, like I played in Bangor in Wales, Bangor University, and it wasn't like the school's team. It was just a club, but we were still like the Bangor Bulldogs. Like we were still, you know, like it was everyone in the school who wanted to play that just like you show up and play.
Can you tell me about that? Just go ahead. Tell me about being a Bangor Bulldog.
It was a good time. They are not as skilled at football over there, you know, less interest, less people kind of like trying to be awesome football players, whatnot per se, whatever. That being said, me and a few of my friends who were abroad at the time kind of dominated the team a little bit. like my one friend eventually moved to quarterback. He was super awesome. I was a receiver. I was pretty good. And then one of our other guys was a linebacker, and he was just like eating it up. So it was a good experience. They only practiced a couple times a week. They did like one practice that was like your typical like pro gear, like no tackling, just kind of going hard with the shoulder pads on and whatever. And then they did one day that was full pads, like full on tackle and all that stuff. But practice twice a week, have a game once a week. It's different than what I'm talking about doing with this, because this would be much more professional, daily practice required, whatever. Over there, to say it was a club, I don't necessarily mean like club volleyball is here, whatever, you know, where it's like super organized and blah, 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 whatever. I mean, it was a club almost more like the students were the ones who were like, do you guys want to make a football team? Like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean?
That's fair. And so did you guys like have an actual head coach, stuff like that, or is it like
No.
player run?
Player run.
Nice. So,
I mean, I think there was like a couple of coaches, but I forget if they were like grad students there or if they were like affiliated with the school, maybe like a teacher at the school. There were like a couple of coaches. But I think, I'm not sure who they were, but every club needs like an adult sponsor and stuff, you know, like to be a club. So I'm sure the coach was just like the one that sponsored the club and stuff like that.
Okay. That's kind of cool though, not going to lie.
It was awesome. It was sick. I loved it.
How many games did you play?
There weren't a ton. It was like, how many did we end up playing? 3 or 4, maybe.
That's not bad. That's pretty.
It was the spring too. Like this is year round. You know, like
were you undefeated?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. It was also what, like 4 years ago at this point.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
Damn, you're old. You're old. No, I'm kidding. No, I think if college football did kind of like remove it from that aspect, like it could be good, but there could be some beneficial spots. But at the same time, like it'll never happen. The media rights are too powerful.
Well, never say never. It might not happen in our lifetimes, but never say never.
It might, yeah, that's fair. But like, yeah, it might not happen in our lifetime. So,
well, moving on from that fun stuff, we'll move on into the NFL a little bit here, where we do have an overall body. Just speaking of that, by the way, just one thing I do have to mention with the NFL, with the way it is run and the way the NFL actually owns all the teams and blah, 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 they're an entertainment business.
Yeah.
And similar to the WWE, technically, they can say what goes. I'm not saying games are scripted, but theoretically, it's not illegal for them to do so.
Do you think the NFL is scripted? let's
I have
go on a
no
little bit
idea.
of a tangent.
I have
Um,
no idea because like
I
some stuff definitely seems kind of like a dude. Really, I don't think you can get that specific though with it because yeah, they're super talented, skilled athletes and whatnot or whatever. But still, you're gonna drop some balls. You know what I
okay.
mean? Like if you script like, hey, you're gonna make this crazy, absolute, insane catch like on this whatever, blah blah blah. It's like, can he though? Because he still has to
So,
catch the ball. It still has to be thrown to him. Like it's still, you know what I mean?
so this is where I think it could be scripted in a way. Um, there's three or four plays in each game that can affect a game. That it can affect, and sometimes they're influenced by a ref, and sometimes they're influenced by a major drop when someone's wide open, like a Robert Tunyon. There's three or four plays in each game that can be influenced, and when you lose heartbreak after heartbreak, it wonders, is the NFL rigged for something bigger? And I don't
the
know, dude.
way the way you're explaining this right now sounds to me like you're just trying to find a rationale for why the Bears suck. Like that is your like you just said heartbreak after heartbreak. You got to think, is it scripted? Like you're just trying to explain why the Bears are bad.
But no, at the same time, I do think, like, in a way, like the ref situation, like there are three or four bad calls a game in every single NFL game that
No,
shouldn't
I'm
be.
with you. I'm
Like,
with
so,
you. There are definitely the key defining moments where you're kind of like what, or
to be
like the
honest,
offsides with the Chiefs. You
yeah,
know, like okay, how many times you line up as a receiver? Like you check with the ref every time and whatnot and stuff too. You know, like you don't just point off to the side because you're like, hey, look what I'm about to do. No, that's
yeah,
them checking in with the refs. Like, am I good? The ref doesn't say anything or doesn't like tell you to back up. Can you really get flagged for that?
yeah. No, and that's kind of I was gonna bring up the Kadarius Tony offsides. Like, I mean, that was a game deciding play right there. Like that was like the Chiefs would have won that game. Like if that would have happened, but the refs called it back. I'm not saying the refs were wrong; they were totally right. That was offsides. But at the same time, like, yeah, you do check with the refs every single time. You put your arm out, and you're like, "Hey, am I good?" Every single time as a wide receiver. So, like,
Now, let me ask you this then, because this brings up a question in my head. If it is scripted, or if games are decided based on winner and stuff, like maybe there's not like a script, but maybe they say like this team is going to win this game. They like
Mhm.
don't necessarily go into details on that, but they just say, hey, here's what's going needs to happen. Do the players know? Do the coaches know? Or do the refs control it all?
I think the refs control it all. I
So you don't
I
think anybody else know, like coach or player? You think it's solely refs that are like, "Hey, you guys, here's what you need to make sure happens, however it happens." Because that's even harder to control. Because the
well,
coaches and the players are still trying to win. Now it's on you as the refs to like, "Hey, we gotta be looking for some real specific shit." You know?
well, and I think the reason it's mostly the refs is because at the end of the day, I think the NFL says, "Hey, it would be nice if this team won." It would be nice if this team won. Like, so the refs, if you look, like, to be honest, like during the Bears game, like, Bears Browns, right? And I'm not even going to say we lost that game, but Roger Goodell was at that game. I don't know if you saw it. They showed Roger Goodell up in the stands. Roger Goodell was up at that game, and I think the Bears were supposed to win that game. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I truly think the Bears were supposed to win that game in the eyes of the NFL because in the first three quarters, it was penalty after penalty after penalty on the Browns. Like, I think the Browns had like 275 yards of penalty yards against the Bears, and the Bears had like 25 yards altogether, and the Bears still lost. But I think like the Bears were supposed to win that game.
The Browns, in fairness, are also the fourth most penalized team in the NFL.
That's a lot.
So
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're seeing like penalty after flag after flag after flag, but also like, yeah, that kind of tracks with the Browns record right now. Like they are the most, and at the time, I don't even know if that was fourth. Like I think that was high because I think I remember them saying something like, "Oh, the Browns are like the second most penalized team in the NFL." So like, I'm pretty sure that's just kind of normal for the Browns.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, but at the same time, I don't know. I do think, like, in a way, and I also think maybe some major players are involved. Like I don't know, like Tom
Rob.
Brady, Matt Ryan, like 28-3. Like that's a big comeback to lose in the Super Bowl. Rodgers being out for the whole year. Like, I mean, yeah, we saw him tear his Achilles, but at the same time, like, I don't know, man. Like, sometimes you gotta wonder. As a football fan, you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder because it
You
would
do.
take the whole integrity out of the game if it is.
For sure. And that raises my last question. I was just going to move on, but now I have to absolutely ask you this. Um, it does. But for the sake of like entertainment and football and whatnot, if it is all scripted, do we throw it out the window or do we still enjoy watching football?
Well, to be honest, I don't enjoy watching football right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, that's fair.
I hate it. I hate it. Like I'll watch the Bears game and they'll lose. And I'm like, well, it's enough football for me for the week. And so,
That's
like
fair.
to be honest, I lost my enjoyment of football. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
That's fair.
I'm in a really dark place with football right now. Let's just be yeah.
Understood. My thoughts on it are almost like you're watching a show, like I still watch plenty of TV. I still love watching movies and stuff. So like even if the outcome is decided before the game happens,
Hmm.
I'm still probably enjoying the game quite a bit watching, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I don't love I don't love it if that's the case. I'd rather see just like, hey, two teams play because I think it does take a little bit away from that excitement factor. Like, oh my God, the Bears won the Super Bowl. Like, cool, they got decided to win the Super. Like, that's something about that's less exciting than like, no, we are the best. Like, we won. But at the same time, I don't know. As far as just like consuming football goes, I don't think I would stop consuming football just because I knew the outcomes were like picked.
that's fair. And as you just said, like the Bears winning the Super Bowl, that's when we know the NFL is rigged. When the Bears win the Super Bowl, because that's
maybe
never.
maybe if we ever find out that things are rigged, maybe we could pay somebody off and help that out. Or maybe we just watch college football and call it a day. Maybe we turn into an entirely college football podcast.
Sometimes I feel like college football's rigged too. Like nowadays, in a way, yeah. Like
It's the way
Minnesota,
here's
Iowa.
here's the difference though. Here's the difference. It would be illegal in college football. I'm not saying that makes it any less likely per se, but the whole point we even started talking about this is it is legal to do in the NFL. Like the way
NFL.
the NFL is set up and structured with the NFL owning all the teams and whatnot, blah, 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 like that is allowed. Like that is like they are an entertainment business. With college football, it's not. It is individuals competing under a governing body of the NCAA. So if there was rigging going on there, it would be illegal to do so. They are not in the entertainment business. They are individual organizations playing against each other. So that's the difference there.
For sure. One more thing about the NFL rigged. I remember last year, like a lot of NFL players, when like I forgot who it was. I think it was like Benny Cunningham came out and said the NFL's rigged. It's all scripted, blah blah blah. And then like all these NFL players were like, Arian Foster, like he played for the Texans. He's a running back, career-ending injury. He's like, I would have never stepped out on that field if I knew the NFL was rigged. Or like, just like it's funny. Like Alvin Kamara, when they handed me the script for our season during camp, and I almost walked out of the facility. And so NFL players were having fun with it too.
Oh yeah, I would make all kinds of jokes about it. But the thing
Right,
is, if the players don't know, then like shit, they don't know. They don't know what the
right.
refs are doing.
Fair.
But anyway, getting into this playoff picture that we got going on here, things have switched up a little bit since we were last on. Currently, in the number one spots, we've got the Raven and the 49ers. I don't know. One second. Let me look something up. I want to see if they are locked in or if there's still movement there. Or no, I know that those two are. But
No, there's still movement for number one.
well, sure, but like they're locked in, like they are going to the playoffs,
Right.
along with the Cowboys and the Eagles. They are for sure going to the playoffs. Everybody else is actually not 100% certain. Everybody else still has a chance that they could drop it and or get in it, or not get in it because they're eliminated teams. But anyway,
Right.
Dolphins, Chiefs, Jags winning the divisions. Browns, Bengals, Colts as the wild cards. In the NFC, Cowboys, Lions, Tampa Bay still winning their divisions. Eagles, Rams, Vikings as the wild cards. And the Bears are not truly eliminated yet. Teams that could potentially be eliminated this week are the Bears, the Raiders, and the Chargers. Those three teams are facing the threat of elimination should they lose a game this week.
Also, the Lions could clinch the NFC North for the first time since. Hold on.
A long time ago. Lions have never even won a Super Bowl, have they?
No.
They've even been?
No. Since 1993, this is the first time the Lions will clinch the NFC North.
In our lifetime.
In our lifetime. Yeah. that's old. That's 33 years. Right? Yeah. 30 years. 30 years.
Yeah.
The Lions have not won the NFC North in 30 years, and this is the first time. And
that is crazy.
On the brink. They got to win this weekend, and they clinch.
Well, let's try to determine if they do so. Let's go through these games.
All
First
right.
up on our real quick before we go through these games, we already had the Rams and the Saints play. The Rams won it 30-22. That score to me doesn't seem indicative of how the game was. I feel like the Rams absolutely dominated. So
backdoor cover. Yeah. What the fuck is up with Derek Carr? Like, he looks terrible.
No idea.
Dude, he fell off. I don't know. No, I feel bad for him, but
it did not look pretty at all. But Rams came and balled out.
Yep.
Can't think of the McVay? No. Quarterback.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I thought Stafford. Stafford being back with Cooper Kupp is going to be obviously a dynamic threat. They could potentially turn in from kind of a what the fuck is going on this season to a threat in the playoffs later on. So watch out for that.
Which, look at that playoff matchup. Number 3
at the
Lions versus number 6 Rams. NFL scripted, right? Matt Stafford returning to Detroit to play the Lions.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was going right over my head. I was kind of like, okay, yeah, playing the Lions, cool.
Stafford, Detroit playoffs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jared Goff back to the Rams. That's crazy.
Well, we'll see if it happens because first we got to get there. But next game that is coming up, Bengals, Steelers. Bengals all day.
Well, okay, so Bengals, but the Steelers are playing Mason Rudolph on Christmas Day.
Exactly. Bengals all day.
Mason Rudolph, Santa Claus, Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer.
That's what we're rolling with? That's what we're rolling with his name?
Okay, like Mason Rudolph. So Mitch got benched. But, dude, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season.
Ooh.
Never had a losing season ever in his coaching career. And I don't think it happens. Like, this is like a must-win game for Pittsburgh for them to, like, Mike Tomlin not to have a losing season.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. I'm with you.
And Rudolph, Mason Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, Santa Claus, Christmas Day. It's just destiny.
I'm gonna stick with the Bengals. I can't. You go Steelers all you want, but I don't know. Mason Rudolph popping in. That's third string quarterback technically to them that they're rolling with. I don't see it happening.
All right, I'm gonna pick Steelers. We'll see what my playoff looks like with yours.
I'll pick Bengals, and we'll see where we go from there. We're gonna try to give two different pictures here. We're gonna give some varying opinions, and we're gonna see what changes based on us changing which team wins and loses. How about that?
That works. All right, so Bills, Chargers. Bills.
All right, you go first this time.
All right, the Bills, they're on a hot streak. Josh Allen looks good. Chargers, they're starting Easton Stick again. Still haven't given Max Duggan a shot. So I'm going Bills. I think this is a Bills game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Bills take it. Mostly because I want to see the Bills absolutely kill, and I want to see Max Duggan get in that game.
Me too.
Or maybe not that game per se, but like the next game. Yeah. Like I want to see Max Duggan playing for the Chargers. For that to happen, Bills need to take this one.
All right. You go first on this next one.
All right, we got Colts and the Falcons. Oh boy, this is I'm not sure here. 1 second, let me look at a little match-a-rooney here. 8-6, 6-4, 3-4 is playing at the Falcons. They're much better at home than they are on the road. Colts are also surprisingly strong on the road, though. That's weird. Let me fuck around and get the Falcons.
All right, I'm gonna go with Colts. Like Shane Steichen has done a great job this year as the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson went down week 2, like literally week 2, and they've been starting Gardner Minshew all year. And Gardner's been playing incredible football for being a backup.
Iowa State guy, right?
No, Gardner. He's Washington State guy.
Washington State.
Yeah, but Gardner Minshew, he's looked good, man. He was a Jaguar. He started for the Jaguars prior to Trevor Lawrence, but
that's what I remember him from. Who was on that team that was from Iowa State then? I swear there was like, for some reason that Jaguars team makes me think of Iowa State.
I don't know.
Interesting.
All right. Anyways, the next game, Packers Panthers. I just think it's going to be the Packers. It's going to be a bounce back. I don't think the Packers. It would be great if the Packers lost to the Panthers. It would suck, but it would benefit us. Like we would probably lose out on the number 1 pick at that point. But at the same time, we said we don't want the number 1 pick. So
that is true. Now the Packers are 2-5 on the road, and this is going to be played in Carolina.
Are you going to pick the Panthers? Go ahead. I'm picking the Packers. Unfortunately,
it does say the Panthers have the number 3 defense right now. 30th offense, but they're number 3 defense. No, yeah, I don't think the Packers can respectfully lose this game whatsoever. I think Jordan Love probably finds the way.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, you got this next game?
Let's do it. Browns. Houston. Ooh. Is Stroud back?
I don't know. Let me look.
Even if Stroud's not back, the Browns with that number 1 defense, Stroud is still a rookie. He's been very, very good and successful, but he is still a little young, still, getting his beak a little wet.
He's out.
He's out? Okay. So who's their backup?
Case Keenum. Which they won last week. I mean, Case Keenum's a good backup quarterback.
And that changes the whole premise of what I was saying too. Like Case Keenum is not a young rookie kind of guy. Like he has been around, he has been in the NFL.
He's been to the playoffs.
So that number 1 defense, I would argue, is going to affect him less than it would Stroud. But let me go.
Hot.
Let me go favorite. I'm going to go favorite, and I'm going to take Cleveland.
That's what I was going to say. Cleveland's hot right now. That team is rallying behind Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco, he had 3 turnovers against the Bears, but he also threw 374 yards and 3 TDs. So, he's just slinging it, and that defense, they're like, Joe, you can go make mistakes. We got your back. And that's what you want out of your quarterback at this stage of the NFL season. So I think the Browns are actually a team to watch right now.
Probably.
They really are.
Next up, we got Lions-Vikings. What do you think?
Detroit. I think Detroit. Minnesota's a dumpster fire right now. I don't know. They won, but they lost to Cincinnati last week, but they beat the Raiders. But, the quarterback position, they have nothing.
I agree. Vikings are back and forth. They're streaky. They're just I don't know what's going on in there. The Lions are consistent. They are just coming back after a rough loss 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they've looked pretty damn hot ever since. So I don't think they're letting that fall up again. So they're going to be on this. Commanders and Jets.
No one cares.
Oh boy.
No one cares.
Yeah, but we got to pick somebody here. So let's see. We're playing at the Jets. Commanders actually have a better record on the road than they do at home.
Let's say tie. 25-25. Tie.
Nah, we can't tie. I am going to take – who is the quarterback for the Commanders? This is, by the way,
Sam
just
Howell.
who?
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell? Okay. Oh, yeah, I knew that. By the way, this is similar to our like Iowa Michigan matchup, or no, our theoretical Iowa Colorado matchup here. We have the 32nd ranked defense going against the 32nd ranked offense here.
Okay, I
Um,
like that.
and then the 7th ranked defense versus the 16th ranked offense. So on that regard, fuck it, give me the Jets.
I'm taking the Commanders.
Yes, I
Yeah,
was going to recommend you do that just
I'm
to
taking.
let's
I'm
change something.
taking. I think Sam Howell is gonna have a good game. I think the Jets defense is the Jets. I mean, the Jets defense is good. Like, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but
It is also notoriously hard for a defense to have a really good game when the offense isn't giving them a chance to rest. So,
that's fair. I mean, we watch that every Saturday.
yeah,
So, um, but anyways, yeah, give me the Commanders.
let's
All
do it.
right,
Seahawks versus Tennessee. What do you think?
I got Titans. They won. I think this is kind of like one of those bounce back games for Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is too good of a coach to have like a really bad losing record. Like they're 5-9 right now, but I think they finished the year probably 7-10. Like I don't think they're like a 5-12 team. I think the Titans win this game.
Titans are ranked a little higher, a lot higher defensively, not technically higher offensively, but the offense ranks higher than the Seahawks defense. Regardless, though, actually, oh man, this is so it's at Titans, and the Seahawks are 2-5 on the road, compared to 5-2 at home,
Ooh.
which is tough. But just to see some opposing views and all that jazz, whatever, I'm a click on Seahawks. I liked the way they looked against the Eagles. I think they're making a little bit of a streak in their own, and like you said, they're in fighting territory. Like they're on
Is
the number
Gino
7.
back?
Was he? No, I don't know if he is this week or not. I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, I'm going to take them. They looked hot. They beat the Eagles without him. So, I mean, whether he's back or not, like I think there's credit due there to Drew Lock to maybe go in and get the job done.
Okay.
They're in a fighting position. Like they're right on the edge of that playoffs. They absolutely need this if they are going to like hold on to their spot and make it in. I think there's more reason to fight for them.
Yep. All right.
Jags, Tampa Bay.
Florida Bowl.
Florida Bowl. Oh, this one's tough. 1 second. Let me look at their matchups here.
So I think my personal opinion, I think the Bucks, they beat Green Bay last week. They looked fantastic. I think this is a fall back to earth type game for Tampa Bay. I think Jacksonville pulls this one out. They move into 6 for the year.
I do too, and I'm gonna give you one big reason. Jacksonville is 5-1 on the road, and they're gonna be playing in Tampa Bay.
Is it really on the road when it's only 2 hours apart?
I was just thinking that myself. I'm like, but yes, I'm going to consider that still on the road. Not to mention they rank higher. Their defense is only 1 spot below Tampa Bay's. Their offense is 11 spots above them. I think Jags have a pretty good shot with this.
Yeah. The moment
Cardinals, Bears, take it.
Cardinals. No, I'm kidding. Chicago. I think the record doesn't show who the Chicago Bears are, and I think we destroy the Cardinals. Like I mean, like I don't know, destroy, but necessarily, I think we beat the Cardinals pretty handily.
There's no way we don't beat the Cardinals. We rank higher offensively and defensively. Like actually both. Like we actually do better than the Cardinals in both. They're 1-6 on the road, which I mean. They have 3 wins, so of course. But I don't know. I think for sanity purposes, we have to pick Chicago in this. We can't not pick Chicago in this.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Dallas, Miami. Tyreek Hill is going to be back, I believe. I'm pretty sure I heard Tyreek Hill is officially back. This is being played at Miami. Cowboys are 3-4 on the road. I've been hearing this is like a storylines matchup right now because Cowboys headline is that Cowboys can't play on the road or can't win on the road. Miami's headline is that Miami hasn't played anybody yet. playing the Cowboys is going to be playing somebody, but the Cowboys are on the road. So, like, whose headline is going to reign out stronger is the big question. Personally, I think I like Miami. I like McDaniels as a head coach. I think this is truly going to come down to kind of a coaching type win. And I mean, with Tyreek Hill back, they've got Hill, Waddle, Mostert's doing good. The running back. I think Tua wants to lock this one up.
Well, you chose Miami. I'm choosing Dallas. I think Dallas comes out. Um, Dak looks good. The run game is solidified. CD Lamb, and I think Dallas takes it, man. Like I think Mike McCarthy, he brings his like tradition and like history of being a head coach into this game, and like experience over innovator. Like we talked about it last week, experience over innovator. I'm taking experience in this game. Both 10-4. I also like, but both similar storylines this year. One in the AFC, one in the NFC. Dolphins haven't really played anybody. Has the Cowboys really beat a contender, or can they play on the road? Like, and I think Dallas goes out and shows everybody, hey, we can play on the road. Like we can beat Miami, and I think Dallas moves to 11-4.
All right. Next up, Broncos versus Patriots. Thoughts?
To be honest, I know you're gonna hate me, but I think the Patriots. Uh, okay, and hear me out. Bill Belichick, he's not fighting for his job, but it's still Bill Belichick, and he's going to try everything in his power to play Scrooge this year for every single team. Bill Belichick, the Patriots' upcoming schedule is funny because it is all playoff teams, and he could ruin a lot of shit for a lot of playoff teams at the end of the year. So they play the Broncos this week. Next week they play the Bills, and then they play the Steelers. So like three teams right there that could be like they could ruin everything. Um, I do think I mean if the Patriots win, it's not going to be it's not going to be by a blowout, but it's going to be a real close game. I got this weird feeling that I like the Patriots in this one.
I feel like I have to take the Broncos. Like, there's just like I can't not take the Broncos. Patriots do have a much higher ranking defense. Broncos aren't the strongest. Offense, we're only a couple places behind. This game is happening in Denver. Pats are 2-4 on the road. Denver's 4-3 at home. So slightly better odds at that matchup, but I don't know. I think Russell Wilson is kind of starting to figure his shit out a little bit. I think the Broncos have been looking fairly good. They've still lost a couple recently, but they're playing decent football now. Patriots, I would argue, are not playing the greatest football right now. They cannot even figure out what to do in the quarterback room as far as who to start and who to finish. You want to talk about starting and relievers. How many times have we seen a Mac Jones start with a Bailey Zappi
Really?
like relieve right
Yeah.
now? So, yeah, give me the Broncos. Fucking Broncos country. Let's ride.
All right, next game: Raiders Chiefs.
All right. This seems like a no-brainer. I
I don't
feel like
know.
you got to say Chiefs. Like, the Raiders, I don't know. They are coming off of a huge fucking win.
63-point win. Yep, yep. So
And so, like, they're rolling hot, but they're also 1-5 on the road playing the Chiefs.
that's fair.
And it is still the Chiefs.
Yeah,
So I think you got to say Chiefs.
yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's the Chiefs. In the next game, I think it's a no-brainer. Also, Giants Eagles.
Yeah,
I
definitely
really
Giants. How do the Giants not win this game? I
Okay,
think you're
calm
right.
down. All right, but this next game I want to talk about. This is a potential Super Bowl matchup right here. Is the Baltimore Ravens versus the San Francisco 49ers. Both 11-3. And this late in the season, this is a must-watch game. I'm really excited for it. I think this could be the Super Bowl.
I have
Um,
not watched any Ravens.
the Ravens look great this year. Like Lamar
Yeah,
Jackson is on fire. Odell Beckham's coming into his own. Roquan Smith on the defensive side. Sad. But like the defense for the Ravens look amazing. Um, But so does the 49ers. Like, the 49ers look great too. So, like, Brock Purdy's managing the game well. I don't know if you could even say managing the game. And it's also funny because, like, there's two front runners right now for the MVP race: Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy,
Brock
head
Purdy.
to head. Right now, let's see who's got what. And whoever wins this game could be the potential MVP this year.
Catch more of that in our next episode.
Yeah.
What's your pick?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I got Ravens. I
Thank
think
God.
whoever I got Ravens. I love the 49ers. Don't get me wrong, but I think I got the Ravens. I think
I
Ravens get this one off.
For sake of duality and switching things up, I'm going to take the 49ers, which I was hoping you would take the Ravens because I love the 49ers. I do really enjoy watching them play. Obviously, they got George Kittle, Iowa guy. They got Brock Purdy, Iowa State. I love those ties, and I love the storyline of Purdy being Mr. Irrelevant and coming in and just dominating in the NFL. Yeah, he has a great team. He has a bunch of studs around him that make him look good. But at the same time, like, don't sleep on what Purdy can fucking do. You know, like, you could throw
Right.
a lot of guys in with that kind of talent, and they still aren't going to be able to produce quite the same as Purdy's been doing for the 49ers. I do really like the 49ers, and so I'm going to take the Niners in this one.
See, I like both teams, but I want to say one more statistic about the Ravens. Why I think Lamar Jackson against NFC teams is 17-1. Against teams in the NFC since coming into the league is 17-1. That's a lot. Like, I mean, that's a good sample size. He's won a lot, and you know why? You know why it's probably that high? It's
Why?
because teams are still trying to figure out Lamar Jackson in the NFC because they don't play him all the time. Like, Lamar Jackson is a unicorn of a quarterback. He's got so much speed. He's mobile. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's accurate. He's everything you would want in an NFL quarterback.
All right.
I think I think that's why. But no,
That
I like the
that is
Ravens.
fair. That is fair. I still like the Niners. I think they're golden. I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I don't know. That's
Well, I think the Ravens. I think this
And
is
this might be this might be the matchup, but we will find out here soon to come. So real quick, you want to read through your starting with your AFC, going into your NFC. Read what your playoff looks like after your picks.
Yeah, so AFC number one seed is Baltimore Ravens. Kansas City Chiefs is the number two seed. Number three is the Miami Dolphins. Number four is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, the number five playing the Jaguars is the Cleveland Browns. Number six is the Indianapolis Colts playing the Miami Dolphins. And number seven is the Buffalo Bills playing Kansas City Chiefs. On the
Mine
NFC.
is I'm gonna change how I did. I'm gonna do my AFC now, and then we'll do NFC. Just so there's less time of remembering what was this. But
For sure.
for mine, it looks like Ravens, number one at the top. Number two, Dolphins. Number
Ooh.
three, Chiefs. Number four, Jaguars. Number five, Browns. Number six, Bengals. And number seven, Bills.
Ooh, so the Colts are out, and then we switch two and three.
We switched
Okay.
2 and 3, and the Colts are out in mine. Yep. And then
So
I'll do my NFC. So then my NFC is I got number one, 49ers. Number two, Eagles. Number three, Lions. Number four, Tampa Bay. Nothing really changed. Number five, Cowboys. Number six, Rams. Number seven, Seattle.
okay,
Yeah.
so my NFC, I got number one, 49ers.
Yep.
Number two, the Detroit Lions. Number three, the Dallas Cowboys. Number four, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number five, playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Philadelphia Eagles. Number six, playing the Dallas Cowboys, the Los Angeles Rams. Number seven, playing the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings. That's my playoffs right
That one
now.
looks so we moved a few things around in that one. There's that one we got some differences going on, but we will see who ultimately comes out more
You wanna see the-
accurately. Like it's not
Yeah.
necessarily going to be either or, like just more accurately. We'll see what happens, but
You
that's
wanna
all
see
the time we.
Hold on.
What?
The draft order, because this machine does the draft order too. I'll give you the top five. So the Bears would still have the number one pick from the Carolina Panthers. Arizona would be number two. New England would be number three. Washington number four. And number five would be the New York Giants. And the Bears' second draft pick would be number 9. at that point with a win.
See, for me, it's coming in at number 8. Everything else you said was the same in mine, except for the Bears are coming in at number 8 in mine.
Oh man, well,
because I have the Giants winning, I think, is what made that switch.
Did you actually pick the Giants?
What?
Over the Eagles?
No. Jets.
Sorry. Oh, Jets.
Other New York team. I had the Jets winning. Okay. I think we made that difference. I forget. I think you said.
Yeah.
Right. Who did they play?
Commanders.
Yeah. You picked Commanders. I picked. So that's the difference there. But that is all the time we have for you guys today. That was a fun-filled episode, super packed. Everybody go out, enjoy your Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. We will see you guys after the holidays on our next recording. Tuesday? ?
Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, guys, go like, subscribe, Instagram, TikTok. Also, ho, 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 and I got 2 words. Bear down!